It's been a little while since we did a POV enclosure upgrade, so we're going to show you the African fat-tailed gecko's new enclosure upgrade. So basically, this is very similar to the one it had before, but I took a couple extra little steps. So to start things off with, we obviously did this little styrofoam and sand background. I'm not super great at it, as you can see. There's some spots where the silicone didn't quite adhere, but I think it turned out pretty good, all things considered. And then as we can see, there's one of them right there. Other one's right there. I put them in here like 30 seconds before, and they're already cruising around checking things out. So this is a 36 by 18 by 18 Exoterra, so it's one of the larger ones. The thing about a lot of the fat-tailed geckos and a lot of species is you know, when you think about cohabitation, you think about what the sexes, you think about space, and you think about their actual habitat and their actual temperament of the individual species. So African fat-tailed geckos in the wild do live in fairly loose colonies, but there's a lot more space and a lot more places for them to move around. And, you know, males and even females to some degree can be quite territorial. So that's why they always do not recommend putting males in together, even if you're going to have pairs or trios. That being said, I thought I purchased a trio. Well, I thought I purchased a pair and then someone gave me a female. It was pretty small. I couldn't tell if there were any follicles. And as it turns out, yeah, we actually have a male. So I have a reverse trio in here. Now, I know that raises a lot of red flags for people, and admittedly so. Yes, I would never, ever, 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 ever recommend doing so. But these guys have been living successfully for over 3 years now with literally zero issues. Other than I get a lot of infertile eggs, either because she just refuses to because the two males are bullying her, even though there's absolutely no sign of it. They all look amazing. There's one of our little boys. We have two normals and one stripe. The stripe and one of the normals is males, are males. That was bad. And then, yeah, so here's one of our little males. Oh, there's another one over here. Oh, look at him. They're so cute. Sorry, I just wanted to show that out. It looks really good. So, backing things up again. So before, I gave plenty of places of like rocks and hides and things, but I definitely did quite a few more than I did before, as well as this background. So I have it to where it's kind of built out a little bit, and then I put this inside of there. It's at a bit of an angle, but it's very adhered to where they will be able to climb up and crawl over like this. So if we think about the number of caves and hides, we have 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7, and then all of under here is another one. And then I just added this cute little tube here because why not, right? Oop, this fell over. Just a little fossil thing just because why not? And a couple fake little cacti, agave looking things. So lots of places for them to hide. They do get above heat from a ceramic heat emitter. And then I have a low wattage UVB bulb because African fat tails are crepuscular. They're fairly nocturnal. Most of their time out is at night, but they do still benefit from a little bit of UVB. Usually in the evenings is when they'll kind of start to poke their little heads out, like out of their little hides and little things like that. And then you'll kind of see them a little bit here and there. They, just like leopard geckos, they do require a bit of humidity. And so that's why, as you've seen in many of my videos, that I give them the little split. So that way I kind of give them an option of where they want to spend time. It's a ceramic heat emitter, so this is going to get warm, this will get warm, this will get warm, this too. But all over here, it will be a little bit cool. And then obviously all over here, here, I'll just lift this up, you can kind of see that. Ta-da! So under there, there's two other hides. There's that plastic one that they had before, as well as the log overturn, and then this right here. So that will give lots of space. And they do not have toe pads. They are in the same family as the family, I guess. I think it's more like, yeah, we'll say family, as the leopard geckos, where they have true eyelids, where they can actually open and close their eyes, but they don't have toe pads, so they can't cling to walls, but they do have tiny little claws, and that's that allows them to cling to rocks and climb things. So that's why I used, instead of Eco Earth, I used this Exoterra brand like desert soil for the back here, so that way it'll be a little bit of texture. and they can use all of this to climb up to get on here. And theoretically, they can even get up here close to here on the top if they really wanted to. This is, you know, this as I mentioned before in the previous video, this has been melted and I can't adhere a regular lid for this, so it's not a true locking lid. So that's why I have this there. So I'll probably add a little bit of weight just to the top just to make surezies in case they ever decide to try to crawl out or whatever may have you. But these guys are really cute. And as I was saying before I just kind of like broke off into a tangent, sorry about that, is they do prefer they do need a little bit of humidity. So I have this more loose substrate, sandy substrate over here. And then over here, I have a mix of organic, no chemical or additive topsoil and play sand. So this is that Exoterra brand. And then play sand, it's that fine stuff, which helps reduce the amount of impaction because, hey, turns out in the actual real world, there are desert and arid species. There's a lot of sand and small granules that they come in to interact with on a daily basis. And then over there, there's that mix over there where it can hold quite a bit more humidity. And that is why I have this large water dish here. Because they will frequently actually drink from that. And then the rock in the middle is to help with, hopefully when I put in crickets or dubia roaches, more likely the gut-loaded crickets usually, to hopefully get onto that rock to prevent them from drowning and getting the water gross and having to change it out even more often than I already have to. So there you go. They're just checking that out. They're cruising all over this place. So it's a little bit of a step up, I think. You know, there's always ways for improvement or other ways of doing things, but I think this will be a little bit better for them. And obviously they're super active right now. They're normally not this active in the middle of the day. They would normally be sleeping usually under one of their humid hides. Although if it's a particularly cooler day, they will be over here under the warm side as well. All throughout the day, and then usually right around 7 o'clock, that's when the timer for my UVB lights all will turn off, because we're still working on the dimmable part. We're going to get there. Right now, we're just getting UVB on as many things, as much light and halogen as we can onto as many things as possible. Eventually, we'll get to the dimming part, but they'll kind of pop out right before 7 o'clock, around like 6:30, 6:45, and they'll bask just a little bit. They'll start to poke out or even fully expose themselves just for a little while, and then they will start to cruise around. Oh, you can kind of see pine snake right there in that little side background, and then, you know, the fogger and other stuff over there. But just wanted to show this, another little update. Lots of room for them to move around, lots of places for them to climb and hide and share. And again, I do not recommend, if you're ever going to cohabitate species, make sure you do your research on the species. Make sure you give them a much larger enclosure than you normally would. A lot of people recommend a 20-gallon. I absolutely go bigger, and then you make sure you give them lots of places to hide, multiple basking spots, large water sources, and make sure they're well fed, and you monitor them very well. You keep an eye on them physically, you watch their behavior, you hang out and watch them when they're moving around, just to make sure that there aren't any issues. And that goes for any species of whatever ratio, male to female. Again, I don't know why these ones get along really well. It makes absolutely no sense to me. But they do, and they have, and if anything were to happen, I do have a spare 20-gallon tank just sitting ready to go if I ever need to move and separate out one of the males. So if any issues were to occur, I can do that on an instant, although that does prevent me from having an open space for Central American banded geckos. But that's okay. I'd rather have, you know, the health and safety of the animals over potentially getting more and more species, because honestly, I need to narrow that down anyway. But I don't know. What do you guys think? Here, we'll just kind of zoom out a little bit. Again, you know, a little bit of that silicone made it up there. And I didn't adhere it as well as possible. It's a learning experience. You know, the first one, I didn't put any silicone on. I just adhered it right to the styrofoam, which was dumb. And then this one, I adhered to it pretty well. But unfortunately, I think the sand might have been just a tad bit damp. So it may have impacted its ability to adhere to the silicone as well. But I think it still came out pretty well. And the styrofoam's fine. I mean, it's the background for a lot of other like reptile things that you get from Exoterra. Like you see them in a lot of the like the little crested gecko setups and things like that. But I think this is pretty good. Oh, there he is. Look at him go. But overall, I think this is not too bad of a setup. Glad to always take criticism, ideas, critiques, things like that. You know, like I said before, there's always room for improvement, ways to change things up. Let's see if I can get the camera in there. He's cruising around over there. But I think this is pretty good. They've been doing really well in the new building where I have them up. So this isn't going to be a whole lot change other than the fact that there is a lot more places for them to move around, as well as some new places for them to crawl up on. And see, there you go. You know, they're obviously being super curious right now, so they're cruising around and climbing on things. But probably in the evening, in the middle of the night, they'll be cruising around all over this place. Oh, and as a final thing, if you ever do stacks of rock or slate or anything like this, make sure they are very secure. Even though the geckos are very light, they don't weigh a lot, and they're not super destructive, and they don't move around, unlike certain species. You want to make sure that they are very secure, because if one were to shift and move, it could potentially injure your animal. So absolutely make sure, and we're going to zoom in really quick here, that you are taking care of that and watching that. Oh, yeah, what are you trying to figure out there, little one? Can't quite make it there now? Yeah, I made it a little tight back there. But that's okay. But anyway, what do you guys think? I think it turned out pretty well. Stay tuned for more updates, more species spotlight, all sorts of fun stuff. And hopefully I'll have some more really cool animals to show you, as well as some new interesting things in the future. So again, thank you very much. Hope you enjoyed the video. Hope you're having a great day, and we will check you next time.